My name is Nyx, and I'll be sharing my thoughts on DNA. This review will be broken up into 5 sections: launch experience, story, graphics, combat, and my overall thoughts. Launch was a disaster for many. My launch experience was fine. Playing on a PC, initially opening the game, everything was okay, but once I started getting into cutscenes, the freezing began. Eventually it got so bad that the game crashed and I had to restart. However, after restarting, everything was completely fine. However, many people have experienced lag, crashing, and not being able to open the game at all. The issues are even worse on mobile, and it almost seemed like the game was barely tested on mobile devices, with how many issues people had. If you make a game available on a platform, it has to be able to run well on that platform. I'll be giving you a short introduction of the prologue, so warning for spoilers for about the first hour of the game. You start your journey on Purgatorio Island with Bernica, aka Barry. You find your village completely destroyed, and you and Barry have to find a way to escape. You go through this area with Barry, and it basically functions as the tutorial. Eventually, you end up meeting 2 new characters, Randy and Sybil, who are pursuing the main character and Barry. You then fight Sybil. The MC sacrifices themselves for Barry in hopes that she can escape. Then you wake up and you meet Camilla and Snow. They help us get into the city, Snow becomes our traveling companion, and the main story begins. Overall, I've been enjoying the story. While it is a fantasy world, it's much darker than I expected. There's tension between the different races, the Charons versus the Solarians. And in the city, the Charons are treated poorly, and fighting back can result in the risk of being beaten or even killed. And I hope that they can really hone in on this story. One of DNA's greatest strengths going forward will be the ability to tell a great story. Since DNA does not have to rely on selling a character to us, they have much more freedom in being able to tell a more impactful, deep, and narratively driven story. A story mechanic that I actually really liked was the DNA reputation system. Depending on different dialogue options you choose, it affects the different reputation stats you have. In this turn, this affects your interactions with NPCs. Using your character stats, you then have to succeed a check which will determine how your interaction will go. It's an interesting mechanic and reminds me a lot of Baldur's Gate, which I love, though I have some concerns on how much it will be used. Since Baldur's Gate gives you the ability to replay certain situations again and again with new stats or new runs, in Duet Night of Best, where the story does not have replayability, I don't think this mechanic will be able to have a big role in gameplay, other than interacting with NPCs. The graphics. The overall graphics are nice, but there are some issues. The environment is fine, and it's pretty to look at, but the current city we are in is very reminiscent of another city from another game. Yeah. I'd like to see more creative environments instead of the same city going forward. There have been some issues with the character models, especially their facial animations. Eyes will be going in opposite directions or teeth will be floating. It's really funny, but it's also kind of freaky. The NPC animations are also uncanny. I wish they put a bit more effort into the NPC talking animation, especially since we have a whole reputation system that encourages you to talk to NPCs. But then they look like that, and I don't want to talk to them anymore. The actual character models themselves are very pretty and detailed, but they're also inconsistent. I know it's a running theme that characters will never look as good as they do in 2D art, but I feel like some games have managed to bridge the gap between 2D art and 3D models. For example, Wuthering Waves, which character models blow every other game out of the water. With the game's main monetization method being selling skins or character outfits, I think it's very important that they put the maximum amount of effort into making the character models as accurate to the character art as they can be. If I'm going to spend money on an outfit for my favorite character, then I want them to look the best that they can. The combat. For me, it's fine. It's not amazing, but it's not bad either. To me, it feels like it's missing something though. Let me explain. Another mobile game whose combat I consistently glaze is Zenless Zone Zero. The combat in ZZZ, I'd argue, is its greatest strength. And if you haven't played ZZZ, here's an example. When I hit that parry or successfully dodge an attack, it feels fun. It's exhilarating. It gives you that dopamine adrenaline rush that makes you want to keep playing and keep fighting. Wuthering Waves' combat also shares similar traits. The combat in this game feels like it has impact. and I feel like that's something DNA Combat lacks. I, however, can praise the movement. It's occasionally a little janky, but the helix jump is very fun. Though actually traversing through the city and outside of it can be a little hard to get used to, especially if you're not familiar with movement like this. Warframe players probably have a much easier time. Since I've never played Warframe, I found getting used to climbing a little difficult, since it seems the game wants you to rely on using the helix jump instead of the traditional climbing where you actually stick onto the wall like in Genshin and Wuthering Waves. I hope they continue to refine the movement and make it more seamless. With combat, I'd love a way for them to add more substance to it. The monetization. The main way that DNA plans to get money out of its player base is through skins and character outfits. Whether you like this method rather than a character-based gacha is totally up to you, but you can't deny that it's at least different. Currently, there are two outfit banners, the event-exclusive banner and the standard banner. For the golden tier skins, it's a 0.3% drop rate, purple tier is 5.1%, and blue tier skins are 94.6%. There are also other cosmetics like tails, wings, and other items you can purchase in the shop. For low spenders, there's the $1 Santa outfit, which is however limited, and the $1 lightsaber sword. But you have to buy the gacha currency first, then buy the sword skin, which is just another monetization tactic. The monthly $5 pass gives you 300 phonics full mule and 90 phonics each time you log in. If you log in every day, you'll end up with 2,700 phonics. What's the catch? Only phonics flamule can be used to exchange for limited pulls, not phonics. Phonics can be used to exchange for standard banner pulls, dyes, and other materials. So this monthly pass is not like your standard monthly pass that gives you limited currency. Overall, though, they are selling you skins, not characters. You can completely ignore this part of the game if you have no interest in purchasing a skin and be completely okay. Is Duet Night Abyss worth playing? I'd say try it. It is a free anime game with decent graphics and so far a good story. Any character you want, you can obtain them, but you will have to grind for them. I think I'll be sticking around for the short term to see where this game goes. But what can DNA do to keep me around playing long term? For me, it's fixing character animations and making sure models match the character art. Improving movement and combat, making the combat feel more intense and fun to play. Optimizing the mobile gameplay and making sure the game can actually run properly. Making more skins that can be bought outside of the gacha, like making a purple tier skin that can be purchased for $10 to $15 directly would be nice for low spenders. More creative character designs and more creative maps for the future would get me very excited and more likely to stick around. And that's it. That's the end of my review of Duet Night Abyss. If you played Duet Night Abyss, what did you think? How was your experience? And will you be playing in the future? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like, and I'll see you next time.